Hi.
Hello, everyone.
Hello.
Love a little last minute podcast in the morning.
Little kitty last minute pod. Yeah, we're waiting for one more person. This is my producer, Robin. Robin won't be speaking.
Hi, Robin. Oh, right here.
Hello.
Yeah. Hi,
River.
Sophie.
Hi.
Yes, nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you too. Wait, so I know this is bad, but I haven't watched the documentary yet because I
It's okay.
don't.
I haven't watched it either. Just kidding.
Nor
I
have
don't have my parents' HBO login. They can't remember it, so I've been on a
I can
mission to
send you the
figure out their
documentary.
HBO login.
I will give
Okay,
you a
They
rundown.
didn't even give me an HBO login, so don't worry.
Oh my god, I love it. Never.
Remy, did I see you on Housewives of New York?
Yes.
Yes. I saw your Instagram page where I went to stalk you and I was like, the girl who didn't come. I remember her.
Yes, the girl whose boyfriend got called out in the audience. Hi, Gab.
Yes.
Hello.
Hi.
Hi.
Gab, have you seen Fake Famous yet?
No, I have not.
That's
But
But
okay.
it's very
Don't
high
worry.
on my list.
No,
Amazing.
I will give you, this is Wylie. Wylie's one of the stars of it. Slid into my DMs this morning like a little angel and was like, who's that hot boy on Fake Famous? And I was like, Wylie. I will.
It is an honor to meet you, Wylie.
No, it's an honor to meet you. I just came out with a book.
Yeah.
It's coming out in April. We're very.
Congratulations. Oh my God.
Wild.
I already pre-ordered it, by the way. I pre-ordered it like when you could first order it.
Thank you so much.
When we were DMing and I was like, I'm going to be the first to pre-order it. Like, I wasn't joking. Like, I don't say those things like to be nice. Like, I meant it.
And I mean this so seriously. As soon as I can pre-order yours, I'm doing it.
Oh, I will definitely keep everyone posted.
Also, congratulations on breaking that Ivanka news. Like, I saw that made huge headlines. Sorry.
Wait, yes, there's that. And there's also
Guys,
Story.
wait.
You need this in the episode.
I know we do. We need this in the episode because we haven't officially started. I like.
Oh, okay, yeah.
All right.
we're all like
Having
way
so
too
much fun.
talkative.
We're all
No.
just too excited.
I know we're all really hyped.
Yeah, let's just get
My
this
Gabrielle
on tape.
Bluestone coming out. I'm like stoked. I'm scared about the editing of this episode, but
It's gonna be
I'm
insane.
excited for the party of it.
Chaos.
Are we ready?
Ready.
Ready.
Welcome back, Gabrielle Bluestone.
Thank you. It's good to be here.
Oh, so happy to have you back. Welcome, Sophie Ross.
Hi, thanks for having me.
Of course, and welcome, Wylie Heiner.
Hi, friends. Thank you for having me.
Thank you so much for doing this. Okay, so Wylie slid into my DMs this morning, very last minute. We were supposed to only do this episode with our experts, but now we have like a third expert who's kind of like lived through it. So Wylie was on this movie that I've been talking about called Fake Famous. It's a documentary about how this team of really good social media people take 3 average Joes and Josephines and they help make them have famous seeming profiles. And like the documentary's crazy. Like one of the girls really, really leans in and it starts working. Like her every like lie about getting like a fake face cream elicits her like a real face cream and then like a sponsorship and stuff. And Wylie's story was really, really interesting to me because you dropped out.
I know. I almost got fired too. Like,
yeah. So your story, it was amazing. Like, first of all, you signed on to do it as somebody with a normal job with a boss who didn't know your whereabouts when you were filming. And that was like the funny thing was like you were trying to build up this famous persona while also being like someone else's lackey. So the juxtaposition of those two things, like seeing that go on was like so funny. But then it was really interesting because it was like this dramatic thing of like, and then Wylie went private and like all of the likes, all of the followers that he had bought for you, this guy, Nick, it like wasn't working anymore. And they were like, Wylie, like, why'd you stop? So Wylie, why'd you stop?
Good question. It's so weird because, all the followers he was buying us, they were fake. I mean, they were all out of that application. They were all out of Egypt. Like, I didn't know these people. And It's
They
so
weren't real
crazy.
people.
They weren't real people. Yeah. And so like I was like, okay, this is fairly obvious, but it is really weird because even though knowing they were fake, I still got self-conscious posting because
Mm,
it's weird to imagine all these eyes on you, even if they're fake. Like it was just so overwhelming.
yeah.
And you know, we get to the scene where I go private, and what do they say? They say like 1,000 good comments can be totally destroyed by one bad comment. And I am hypersensitive, you
Yeah.
know, a little sensitive
Yeah.
Sally, and that kind of just made me really in my head. And I think it was like 7 a.m. and I just like went on private, and
Yeah.
yeah, they were very confused. They were like, why? And I was like, getting bullied.
Well, you had that guy who like messaged you and was like, "Oh, I see like you're changing, man. Like I don't know who you've become," or something like that. And you were like, he was like a very, very peripheral friend, but it still like really like plagued you.
But it was also so funny seeing that on the documentary because it was a much gayer translation. It was like, "You're changing, sis." And I was like, "Yes, honey, like just be there for support."
Yeah, no, so I think you got to experience like the negative effects really quickly, but also it just showed that like none of the quote unquote positive fake stuff would like meant anything to you because you were like, I know it's fake.
Yeah.
Like, so all these positive things, like they're not real and that doesn't make me happy. And like, I think the difference between you and the people that Sophie and Gabby talk about, or the scammers that Gabby specifically talks about in her book, the difference between them are like you're not comfortable with being fake, and these people are, and that's basically what I learned from the doc. So Gab, if you want to speak to maybe like how fake are things on the internet, if you haven't seen Fake Famous and you haven't, like, what are some of the things that most of these influencers are doing to appear better or fancier or more well-liked or smarter or thinner, you know?
Well, this is a very old example, but one of the things about the Fire Festival that always stuck with me was that when all the influencers started posting those orange squares in these deals that had been negotiated by their management, they were getting or supposed to get tickets in return for it. People who weren't involved started posting the square too because they wanted to seem like they were a part of it, or they didn't want their followers to think that they weren't. So there's actually like an incredible amount of fake advertising going on where influencers will advertise products that they're not getting paid or getting anything for. But then aside from that, I think there's just a really interesting spectrum of just the act of curation, even if you're just like a private social media user, like you are choosing an image to portray, like you're curating your life and how you want to share it with people. And then on the other end are people that are, you know, there's a studio in LA where you can go and pretend that you're on a private jet. And all these influencers got caught using the same place because it's like very obvious to tell that it's the same set. I think it's like $50 an hour or something to rent.
There's like a little gap in the thing too, so if you don't like crop your photos properly, it's like, well, how did you not fly out of the top of the plane?
But I actually learned from you yesterday in your stories, and I always fall for this when you see influencers posting messages that they've received, how easy that is to fake it. You showed a really great example of that.
So that was something I didn't even learn from Fake Famous. That's just something like I've made some influencer friends over the past few years, and I noticed that people were having these perfect messages in their inboxes ready to go for whatever they were promoting next or whatever. So if it was somebody who wanted to talk about her amazing dating guru podcast or whatever, you would have a DM that was like, oh my God, I just listened to your podcast and it got me a boyfriend and I'm so excited and now I'm good at sex. And then the next slide would be about the podcast or whatever. Or if it would be like, people would do those ask me anything questions and you'd look at it and you go, who the fuck cares about you? But then you'd see all these fake, or
a lot of people have been asking about my skincare routine.
No, they haven't. Yeah.
Yeah. And it's always like the most specific question. It's like, It's like, I was wondering where you got the phone case that was in your mirror selfie last week. And it's like, no one is asking that. And then it's like, swipe up for the phone case.
Exactly. Yes. Yesterday, just to show how ludicrous, was like a screenshot of when I was on 30 Rock as an extra fucking 90 years ago, where my dad bought the role at an auction or whatever, but I screenshotted it and I DM'd myself being like, oh my God, this reminds me of that time you were on 30 Rock or whatever, and then reposted it and was like, ugh, I'm so fucking famous. No, I'm not. Nobody remembers when I was on 30 Rock. Like, and it would be crazy.
I remember.
But but it would be crazy to be proud of yourself for fake shit. And that's something I've never been able to get behind. And Wylie's like a clear example of like not being able to do it. So I have a question for everyone, basically, that's like, if you are good at social media, does that inherently make you a fake fucking liar?
I think so.
Okay.
I don't think so. I think there's a way to be good at social media and be authentic. Like, I think I mean, I'm not even trying to use myself as an example, but just, you know, when you are,
I think you are good at social and you are
well,
authentic.
right. And I have never gone out to like gain a following. I have always just been doing my work and doing my job and tweeting about what I want to tweet about. But when you're being authentic and you're actually just being yourself, that attracts people when they see how passionate you are about something. So I think there's a way to be authentic and attract followers, but the way that, you know, a lot of people go about it, purchasing followers, doing nothing that is original or authentic. Like, and I think it's pretty, I think that, you know, consumers are becoming more privy, the audiences are becoming more privy to who is authentic. Audiences are becoming smarter. So I think, you know, it's just a different game than it was probably like 5 years ago.
Like, they are and they aren't, and I love them getting smarter because I'm like, okay, cool, you're gonna be like less susceptible to bullshit. But then I see all these clickbaity things and these like droves of sheep that, like, if you are a bad person and you know how to manipulate people, like, those are your people, that you will have them in your grasp forever.
No, it's true. There are people that are definitely very easily manipulated, especially, you know, the ones that have been following these influencers for years. They feel like this person is like a part of their like life.
Yeah.
And, you know, just like, and I've said this before, I probably, you know, said this when Gabby, when we talked like last year about how, you know, just like any celebrity, like influencers have their diehard stans. Like, they have their fan base that is going to stick with them no matter what. Like, it doesn't matter what they do. Like, no matter what scandal, they are still going to have that very loyal fan base, just because there's always people like that I don't understand. Like, to me, I'm like, I don't stand like anyone. I criticize.
I don't know how to stand.
I don't know how to stand. I know how to think critically and question people.
I know how to lay down. Yeah, literally. So that's what I love about the two of you too, is all the journalism that you do. It's not just like pop culture tear down people journalism. It's like hold people accountable journalism.
And yeah, and that's something that I want people to know too, that it's never like about like taking anyone down. It's just about like, whoa, like I'm the human embodiment of like, why is no one talking about this? Like, I want to talk about this. I want other people to talk about it with me. Like, that's all what it comes down to. Like, why aren't we talking about this? This isn't normal. This isn't great behavior. Like, and like, once I talk someone through my thought process of why I post things or why I write about what I write about, they're like, oh, that actually makes sense.
Yeah, I have that total feeling of, why isn't anybody talking about this? And I've always been feeling that from a very early age. Like I feel like we all lived through Britney going into her conservatorship, and a lot of us were like, is this fucked up? Like, shouldn't we be talking about this? And now finally there's other people being like, yeah, it's fucked up.
I think that's one of the reasons that you, Remy and Sophie, and like accounts like Tracy Morrissey are so popular, because you're dispelling this like pop culture myth. Like, we've all collectively agreed to believe things that aren't true, and then you're kind of like, well, this doesn't make sense. And it is what a lot of people are thinking. And I think that's part of the reason that like Reddit is becoming so popular in pop culture discussion. It's like a lot of people who are like, am I the only one seeing this? And now there's a place for everyone to come together and say that.
Yes, I love Reddit. Like, I love going to Reddit for like like that's where you find like receipts, like whether you're looking, like I watch a lot of Bravo shows. So if you go on
Sophie,
Reddit, Summer House Reddit, like there are receipts, there are like gossip, like there's just like everything, like tea that no one else talks about on like the show or social media, whatever. And another thing that I think is important for people to know is that the celebrity news that you're kind of like reading in Us Weekly and People Magazine, like that is all PR. Like that, you're not getting hard-hitting journalism. Like when people are like, I know that I called out E! News a couple weeks ago because they, kind of use euphemisms when discussing about Army Hammer.
Wait, I noticed that.
Like they called it like a kink, his BDSM thing, his ex-girlfriend, whatever.
Yes.
And I was like, you're not going to get the hard-hitting journalism from E! News. I get it.
Mhm.
I think in this particular case, it was, an irresponsible post because I think Army Hammer is dangerous. But yeah, it's just important to distinguish like real celebrity gossip that they don't want you to know and everything else you're reading in the press, because it's two separate worlds.
Yes, 100%.
Well, I've got to say, the only reliable news source, this is not a new revelation, but do you guys follow Demois on Instagram?
Yes.
I was like, that's crazy and has been so, I followed for a long time, but they really do a good job exposing the whole industry of PR and how everything is so made up. And like, I did not know it was that made up with celebrities.
They do, but I also will say, and I love Demois, but yesterday they posted a picture of Billie Eilish from behind, and it was my friend Allie. So like,
yes. Demois also posted last week that Woody Allen was in talks to host SNL. Like there is just no dissemination of what could be real and what is not. I feel like, and that's an issue. And I think there's also, now that Demois has become so huge, because I started following Demois like when the pandemic started, like last March, when they had like maybe like, I don't know, 50,000 followers.
Same, yeah.
And now it's up to like 800,000 followers, something insane. And now celebrities are using Demois for PR. So that's why I'm like, that's why it's like blindgossip.com, like blind gossip websites. I'm sick of celebrities. They get a hold of like these outlets and now they're putting in these like, oh, you know what? I heard that Ariana Grande is actually super sweet. She was having a bad day. No, it was just a really bad day, I'm sure. I'm like, that is Ariana's PR team.
Yeah, I do want to go back to those Army Hammer.
Please, yeah.
Those titles, though, and especially because Sophie's done such great reporting on this Army Hammer situation. And we used a lot of your stuff in our episode where we talked about him. Patreon.com/howcome if you can stomach it. But yeah, those headlines, they always kind of seem to absolve this abusive psychopath or alleged pedophile, like all the Crystalia things. Crystalia just did this apology video, which all the headlines should have said, Crystalia avoids talking about what he actually got in trouble for and tries to misdirect and talk about cheating and sex addiction or whatever, when now all the headlines are like, he opens up about sexual misconduct. No, he didn't. He denied all the claims that were made against him and then was like, and for that reason, I'm going to make more money off of you on YouTube again. I'm back on YouTube. Ads.
Yeah. I mean, I think, and I tweeted this too, that the Crystalia apology video, whatever you want to call it, was actually brilliant because you walk away feeling bad for him. You're like, oh, sex addiction, like that's tough. And then you're like, wait, he didn't bring up the fact that he was messaging 17-year-olds. And by the way, I spoke directly in 2017. I wasn't even investigating anything Crystalia related. I was writing another story, spoke to an influencer who was 17, had 17 in her Instagram bio. And we were doing a phone interview. And it was at that point that she told me that, Crystalia had been messaging her, flying her out to LA. I didn't even ask. And I was like, okay, 2017, this girl was 17. So back then, even he was grooming teenage girls. Like,
whoa.
I know someone that he was DMing, and like I don't know how far it went, but the messages I saw were creepy. He's creepy, but I do follow a lot of the news going on about it, and I agree with how it's all language arts. Like when we were in elementary school, especially when you watch like coverage of politics and you see an alert from Fox News versus an alert from CNN, and you're like, okay.
Oh yes.
So it's how it trickles down, or not even trickles down. It's all just part of that media, but it's really crazy how big the industry is.
Yeah.
And I also, I was like a huge fan of Crystalia. So if like,
same,
I was a huge, like, loved his Vines back in like the Vine day. Like that's how I first discovered him. But he has like a cult following, and they're like ready to frickin' like pounce on anyone who says any. And it's like, why are you defending this guy? And the way that they rationalize, like, he didn't know that they were teenagers. Like he can't help it. It's like, it's
very bizarre.
Yeah, it's very bizarre. And it's like the James Charles thing too. It's like, does it matter if he didn't know their ages? Not to the law, you know? Okay, sorry.
Ignorance of the law is no excuse.
But it makes you wonder why these people are defending them so hard. And my usual thing is like, okay, well then you're a fucking pedophile too. Like you look at and I do, Wylie, I know you just said, oh, he's creepy or whatever. Yes, that is the word we usually refer to people. Oh, he's creepy, he's creepy. No, that's pedophilic or ephebophilic behavior, you know? And we really remove what these people are doing by being like, oh, Woody Allen's a creep. No, he married his daughter, you know, like I just feel so resentful of growing up with a bunch of these people in pop culture around us getting off for things that are very fucking bad. And just because they have power, Armie Hammer's family's incredibly powerful. Of course, that's why things haven't really come out. Yes, Sophie, go.
Okay, so
go off, Sophie, go.
I will just say that, and I don't want to like get into too much detail, but I will say that from what I have heard from very, very, very reliable sources, Armie Hammer's family is no longer as rich and powerful as they pretend they are.
Okay.
So I think that's an interesting revelation, because in my mind, I thought that, you know, the reason the story wasn't taking off was because his family was paying people off. His grandpa, where I guess which is where they get their riches from, was a con artist who basically got all his money from fraudulent art sales, got sued for $200 million. Their family is not wealthy anymore. So it's all kind of been this facade, which I think is interesting, because I was like, yeah, they're paying off these places. There's no paying off involved. There's a lot more going on behind the scenes. A lot of drama.
Even like perceived power is crazy. Like if they've been still masquerading as like a super wealthy family, then the perceived power of, okay, a lawsuit might be on our hands if we go for, like, it's only benefits them if they pretend that they're still wealthy.
That's to say nothing of the power of celebrity, which is like its own kind of force field. But.
Yeah. Like, do we think Carol has any money?
No.
Who's that?
No
Good.
one important.
Never mind.
No one important.
Do you think there's going to be more that comes out about the Armie Hammer stuff? Like they're saying there's a big article they're doing investigation.
The article got killed. So
really? Okay.
Yeah. So there's a lot of misconceptions going on about the article. But so what I know and what I can confirm is the story was happening. It was an LA Times story. They shot photos of the victims and everything. I've seen the photos. Like that's how far along it was. And I don't know what I can say or what I should say, but basically, the first victim to come out, Effie, has posted a lot of questionable things recently, which I'm sure if people follow the story have noticed and picked up on. And there's a lot that isn't right there. So Effie at this point has kind of discredited herself in a lot of ways, and not to say that she is lying about being traumatized or raped, because I believe that she was. But in the eyes of a journalist, there are a lot of things that don't add up and a lot of things that she manipulated when she posted the screenshots. But in any case, The real victims, or victims that actually, you know, have been entirely truthful and honest, like Paige and Courtney, the fact that they have been able to come forward and they are hopefully working with journalists right now, which I believe they are. But yeah, it's like a whole thing. Again, like, I don't know how much I can like say, but I have been in very close contact with a lot of the people involved, basically.
Interesting. Okay, cool. Thank you.
Yeah. So yeah, it's unfortunate about the LA Times story.
I had even spoken to Effie initially to be like, oh my God, like I'd love to speak with you about this or whatever. And she was other evidence that we'd used in that episode. And then, yeah, as you're saying, like a lot of stuff comes out that it's like, okay, maybe you're not the most reliable source, but what she did do was kind of blow it open and make it an acceptable place for other survivors to come out. And yeah, I don't know if everything she says is 100%, but also like people going through trauma, like they're also not ready to be public figures all the time. They don't know what to do 100% of the time. And like, I don't want to be like, oh, I'm glad that there are so many other victims, but there are so many other victims that have other accounts that like, we do know that he's still not a good person, even if she hasn't said everything truthful.
Exactly.
Well, that's why it's also important that, like, you know, real journalists at, you know, with fact checking apparatuses are looking into this, because they can, you know, go through and verify or, you know, disclaim certain things. Like, it is important to have as many people taking a look at it as possible.
Yeah. And I know that, you know, like, it's just been, I don't know if you guys have been following the drama on Twitter also, where there was some racist stuff. There was a lot of like, so yeah, there was basically Effie.
From Effie?
Yeah. Effie was saying a lot of racist stuff. She said the R word or the R slur. A lot of just not okay things. And Paige Lorenz, in one of her YouTube videos, she was like, I don't associate with that. And they had kind of this public thing. And I'm like, this is exactly what Army wants, is the victims turning on each other.
Is the infighting.
Exactly what has happened. But it's Effie. Like, Paige is like the most incredible like angel, and I've gotten to know her really well through working on this, and like, she's incredible. And I feel really bad that, you know, it's an extra layer of trauma, because Paige is the one that, you know, has come forward as her, with her name on the record. Like, she didn't choose to be thrust in the spotlight like this, but she was like, I'm the person that they can verify. Like, Effie isn't a public, like, she hasn't put her name on the record. So yeah, it's a whole thing. I know that
it's so great that you're reporting it though, Sophie. That is so good that you're in contact with them, and you know, that's great. Yeah, good job.
Thank you. I mean, I am doing what I can, and I write for, you know, Betches. It's not the LA Times. So like, when I
write for Betches, Sophie, I did not know that. Oh my God.
I wrote an Army story. Actually, if you go to I don't even know where to find it, but if you're just like Sophie Ross Army Hammer Betches on Google, like, you can read my Army Hammer story there. But like, an LA Times expose is what would actually, you know, really get the wheels moving on, you know, criminal charges, whatever it may be. But, you know, I just,
right, because at this point it's just like girl news, you know, and it's getting intertwined with gossip bloggy stuff, which is not what anybody is trying to do, you know, like, it got memeified before people actually acknowledge that like there's a problem.
Yeah, it's like, it's not about the cannibalism, it's about like actual physical and mental, emotional, sexual abuse. Like, it's about abuse.
I'm going to say, Remy, also going back to what you said, how I described what's his face as creepy. It is so weird that that's like the first word that I would say when it's beyond. It's not creepy. It's like, it's perverted, or, you know, horrific, or there are other words to better describe it. But I'm just so used to and groomed, I think, from media and headlines to just use creepy or simple words like that instead of heavier words. But I think
it's not your fault. Like, it's been so normalized, you know, like, we've got songs, well, she was just 17. Every song is about how she is 17 and I kept fucking her even though I'm 45. Like, it's so fucking weird. And we've been like, just like trained to think it's like normal and cool. And again, with like the Woody Allen thing, that like the fact that this is still up for a debate, and I haven't watched Allen versus Farrow yet,
HBO.
Just did. So good.
I need that HBO login so badly.
You need it. You need it, Sophie.
I know.
It's
I
good.
know.
It's crazy,
also,
and it's everything we're talking about.
But the fact that it's still up for debate, where it's like, okay, his kids said it did it. His wife said, or his ex-wife said he did it. A lot of people that he knew were like, yes, he is currently married to somebody who was his daughter, and the press is still like, but we don't know.
He literally, that's what I'm like, he literally married his fucking daughter. Like, what is there to debate at this point?
What do you?
But there will always be like the celebrities that have worked with him that are like, have always defended him. It's like, where are you now? Like, what have you watched it? Because, you know, from what I haven't watched it yet because HBO login, but once I do, I've heard that, you know, there is indisputable evidence in the documentary. So like, where are these celebrities that defended him, you know, 2 years ago now? And also another thing that I want to say before my ADD brain loses it is that I am sickened by Scott Disick and Amelia.
Me too. I literally thought about it this morning. Let's discuss. Did you guys see her Instagram story today?
Did you wait, the shirt with her nipples? Oh
with
no, wait.
Yeah, it's just so crazy. I cannot believe it's real. I can't believe it's real.
It's wrong. Like, it feels wrong to me. And like, legally, everyone's like, well, it's legal. Like, would you say anything if it was the other way around? I'm like, yeah, I would think it was fucking weird if someone was dating a 19-year-old boy. If like a 35-year-old woman, like, yes, that's weird. It's disgusting. And Scott Disick is a predator because he's done this to Sophia Richie and Bella Thorne. So,
and I hate that she is slowly taking on the appearance of a Kardashian. So I honestly think
the blackfishing
on that as well. I'm like, what are you doing? It's weird. And it is literally the same plot line as they're talking about in the Alan vs. Pharaoh that I was watching last night. I mean, not exact numbers, but it's the exact same vibe. And it is so crazy. I can't believe it's accepted.
Yeah, it's like he's and it's like, well, when Lisa Rinna is your mom and everyone like still like shipping Kourtney and Scott. I'm like, Scott is a toxic predator of a human. Like, I don't know why everyone still acts like Scott Disick is like not canceled. Like, to me, he's disgusting.
I will say I respect Lisa Rinna and Harry Hamlin because they have spoken out on the relationship, and I think they need to. Like, I'm like, I think they have. Lisa's concerned. She said things like that about it, but I don't know. I mean,
but why say things? I mean, yes, say things publicly, but like, say something to your daughter. What fucks me up with this situation is like, Scott clearly doesn't care about these girls. He's just going after who has like a little bit of notoriety because he wants to stay relevant as his family, and he's willing to do it like to these young women, and because they are young women, they're above 18, they have their own brains and stuff, but they're younger and they're less mature, and it's like, it's fucked up. I just don't understand why he isn't going after any women his own age.
I think that part of it is, well, yeah, also the frontal lobe or whatever doesn't fully develop until we're 25. So that. Second of all, I think that part of it has been like a very organized PR like campaign. Like, I don't think it was Scott being like, oh, let me like blah, 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 let me slide into this girl's DMs. I think that this was coordinated with Lisa Rinna's, you know, like,
really, you do.
Well, it just came out that apparently Lisa Rinna is gonna have the new Kardashians.
I saw,
she's picking up the torch, and it's gonna be the new Kardashians, and it's like, no one wants that. But I think that this was part of it. And I read on blindgossip.com, whether you want to like, you know, take that as fact or not.
Writing the site down.
It's the best. But that Scott originally wanted the other one, whatever her name is. What's her name again? Delilah.
Amelia Gray and Delilah Bell.
So
but Delilah Bell was with Eyal Booker from Love Island UK, another reality star.
Yeah. He's got the chat.
He's got the chat. He's got the banter. He's got the followers.
It's still early days, isn't it?
But yeah, that's what I have read. And now every time I look at them, I'm like, Scott wanted her sister. He thought that she was the hotter, because she's, I guess, the hotter, more famous one.
I don't know if you guys remember this, But he like did some fucked up stuff to Bella Thorne also that came out like after the fact. I think he flew her out for like Cannes Film Festival or something and then made her leave. There was like, and she was very young at the time too. This is definitely like a pattern of behavior that he does, and like in plain sight.
She was like post Disney, like most weird time, like that, like you're not yet like an adult star yet, and everyone's
not
still
a
being
girl,
like,
not yet a woman,
not yet a woman, yeah. Not a Disney Channel star, not yet a solo artist.
Honestly, and you know, Bella Thorne gets a lot of shit, and I think that she's like really weird and kind of gross, but she gets a lot of
what
shit.
she pulled with OnlyFans.
But
I'm gonna say
the OnlyFans, yeah, fuck her for the OnlyFans shit. So I will say she gets a lot of shit that she deserves. But I will say that, you know, it's people like Scott, while we're talking about the Britney doc, this is a teenage girl who, you know, was probably traumatized from her experience with this 30-something-year-old man, among, I'm sure, a lot of fucked up shit that she's seen. It is right in front of our eyes. And we're like, oh, well, Britney, it's like, what about the misogyny and the predators and the grown men that are preying on young women right in front of our eyes right now? Like, not to be dramatic, but like, I'm like, that's traumatizing. I'm thinking of myself as at like age 18 or 19. Like,
same. I talk about in the documentary, I keep on referencing my sister who is 14 then, 15 now, and that's just 4 years apart. She's in 10th grade, and it is so crazy to imagine a 19-year-old and a 19-year-old me when I'm just 25 now. Like, the decisions I was making were not smart. They were not, you know, what you said about the frontal lobe. It is weird. It is very weird for someone to be dating a 19-year-old.
And that's the thing I was going to say about, like, we're talking about, like, Britney and the males that have been around her. So I started looking at the Amelia and Scott thing after I was talking about how, like growing up and seeing everything that happened with Britney and Justin and Janet or whatever. Like, I remember in the moment being like, how is he not taking any accountability for this? How is he going to the Grammys the next week, but Janet is banned? And how is he just like doing this on the backs of other female performers? And people are like, oh, he's so young. He was so young. He was 21, I guess, when that happened. And it's like, okay, well, if 21 is really young for a boy, then it's also really young for a girl. Like, I don't want any more of this bullshit about, like, girls mature faster. No, that's a fucking excuse for you to be a predator. Like, nobody ever, I saw some meme that was like, nobody ever uses girls mature faster as a reason to give girls more power or more, like, we don't get to fucking drive earlier because we quote unquote mature faster. The only thing we get to do is date older men.
Yeah. I'm 28 and I, you know, have been single for like the past like 6 months. And I've had fun. I've dated a lot of younger guys, hooked up with younger guys. The youngest I personally go as a 28-year-old is 24. And then anything younger than that, like, not that it's like illegal, but I feel creepy and I feel like I can't connect to them as much. And it's like, ooh, how does anyone who is older than me feel like they can connect to someone who is still a teenager? Like, I can't wrap my brain around it. And I date younger people.
And I think it takes, like, when we, like, go back to Alan versus Farrow or any of the media that talks about the age differences, and, like, I don't think people can associate that age difference or realize it unless they know someone that age. Like, 19 sounds old to someone who doesn't know a 19-year-old, but when you know a 19-year-old, they are babies. Like, they are, like, there are so many things they don't know and haven't learned yet.
Exactly. And even going back to, like, the Armie Hammer and Paige Lorenz thing, Paige is 22. Like, that to me is still so young. Like, and she is so articulate, like, wise beyond her years. But I'm like thinking about myself at age 22. Like, I wouldn't know how to handle like any of this. Like, it's when I fully was like a baby college student then.
Yeah, it's weird. It's like, just to get back to like how people package themselves on the internet too, like, people are packaging themselves older. They're not just doing it more successful. They're like doing it more mature, more like, and it's like, that's not necessarily like who you are. And like,
I love the memes that are like, me at age 15, and it's like braces, like being so awkward, like dancing at a bat mitzvah, like so ugly, and like the 15-year-olds today are like hot, like TikTok, like crop tops. I'm like, it's just a totally different world than like when us millennials were growing up.
I'm cracking up right now because when Remy and I were like 14 or 15, we once tried to do like a sexy hot tub photo shoot. And it is the most horrifying pictures. We are like children. It is not sexy.
It is not cool. She sent me photos like a few months ago that she had found.
They were on disposable cameras. That's how old.
Oh my God, I want to see.
Those are back now, though. Those are back.
We also did a photo shoot with my mom's La Perla underwear. Do you remember that one? Where I like stole her bra. No, yeah, you took them for me. I stole her bra and underwear, and I was
Wait, was that the pantaloons photo shoot?
Nope, this is a different one.
We did a lot of shoots.
And yeah, I just think, and I like got jeans on and I like opened them up and I was like on the bed or whatever because I wanted to be like Britney Spears, you know, because like you were naked and you were 14. And I don't know who at fucking CVS had to develop them, but like poor person.
Oh yeah, that was the other elements of it. Like it was not like it just goes in your cloud. Like you had to drop that stuff off and then an hour later come back and not make eye contact with the guy.
I had a similar, I've definitely done a naughty photo shoot on a disposable camera and I had my sister go pick them up inside.
That's amazing. Well, okay, so we're talking about scammers, grifters, con artists, how they're taking over the internet and why we're following, but also celebrities who feel comfortable lying about stuff. Today I got a very hot fucking tip after People Magazine already reported it, but Hilaria Baldwin has given birth to her 6th child.
Yay!
Wow!
Wow!
Wow. I mean,
What?
wow. Yeah. Big congrats. I mean, it makes no sense because she just had a baby.
Also, that's a lot of babies.
September. That was 6 months
I think
ago.
she either like used a surrogate or adopted.
So I will say,
you don't think she was pregnant?
No, she couldn't have been. She gave birth herself in September.
Yeah.
So that was only 6 months ago. But I went back and I found an interview that she did in November. So if it was a surrogate, the surrogate would have been about 5 or 6 months along, saying that she was not going to add to her family again, at least during COVID, that things were too crazy, that she was done expanding. And like she gave a direct quote to this extent. And then 5 months later, she has a 6th child.
Anything for attention and headlines. Anything. That's all I'm gonna say.
Remy, did you meet Alec on a set of 30 Rock?
No, he wasn't in any of my scenes, but I did hear him acting on the different stage.
Put it on IMDb.
No, but that's one of those things that like I would never put that on IMDb because I didn't earn it, you know, and that's what other people are more comfortable with is selling shit that they didn't earn, didn't go, tagging spas that they're not at. That was something that was in Fake Famous that was like, oh yeah, you just take a picture with your head in a bucket of roses, tag it at the Satai, and hope that the Satai gives you a free massage to do it again.
And I go back to your question you asked, like, can an influencer be authentic or not? And yes, they can be authentic, but when it starts involving money is what I've noticed. It becomes like a monetary industry or takes over your account, then it becomes so disingenuine. And like, I've gotten approached to do like little ads and stuff. And like, you know, $20 is $20. Like I'm a hustler, whatever. But you know, it is crazy because it easily influences the way you post and it just takes over everything.
Yeah, I sometimes won't do ads because I'm like, ugh, now we have to build a whole other story around this ad because you can't just post the ad. It's not going to get any engagement. You have to post your day leading up to the ad. And
and it's a full-time job. When I was filming, I had a 9 to 5 job during that, and when I was like taking days off or faking doctor's appointments. But it's tough. It is a full-time job to be an influencer or anything in media like that. It was very hard, time consuming.
And I will be the first person to say that too. Like, I'm not like one to knock on influencing not being a career. Like, I will make fun of influencers for everything else, but I will admit that a lot of them work hard.
They are working hard. Yeah,
it's like
I don't think that they're not.
I wouldn't be able to do it.
It's just the comfortability. But do you want to be able to lie? So
no, I was saying that I wouldn't be able to do it. Like,
okay.
No,
I had a hard time. For me, I had the hard time producing the content, and it wasn't that I didn't have a backyard or a hike or something to take your shirt off and take a photo of, but it's like the confidence is what's so difficult to sort of create or manufacture. Like, we were doing the photo shoot in Venice, and I was so self-conscious about people looking at me and watching me get my photo done. And it takes a very confident, very specific type of person to do that. And it's just not a place for someone who's like not 100% sure about themselves, I think.
Even to get to the place of like influencer, you have to have the confidence to be the one in your group of friends to be like, will you take 60 photos of me? Even asking that much of your friend's time and thinking that you are that important and that this post is that important takes a level of audacity that I will never understand. Like, I remember I had a friend who was posting selfies before, I mean, not before Paris Hilton, but before anybody else was on Instagram. And I was like, who told her this was okay? You know? And
which one
like,
of her friends did not tell her to take it down?
Right.
Yeah, I mean, I totally agree. Like, you have to be like shameless. And I have too much shame to begin with. But I saw this video that blew my mind, and it was Addison Rae in public filming a TikTok. I don't know if you guys have seen it.
At the valet.
Where she was like, so you guys have seen it? Where she's like, 1 second, like,
I haven't seen it. I'll look up.
Fans were coming up to her, like, asking for a photo. And yeah, I'm crying. And she was like, yeah, 1 sec, let me just film this video really fast. And it's like in the middle of like Venice,
in the middle of everything,
and it's silent. There's no music. How they don't use the music to do the TikToks? Like, my mind was so blown. Like, she was just like doing this like in public. I was like, with no music. I was like, what? I just could never. At that point,
never.
I really respect it. I respect the art form.
Me too. The craft.
Because that. When that happened, like, it's like them asking, and she's like, okay, wait 1 sec, and then she snaps into TikTok mode, and it's instantly smiling and facials, scrunches, and then she finishes and she's like, okay, yeah, hi, and it's like, oh damn, you're an actor.
I know, it's like creepy. Like, it's really creepy. It's just not what I pictured. I just don't think about like the fact that, I don't know, you do it in front of like a lot of people sometimes. That's so cringy. Like, how do they not just want to like run away and die? Like, it does take a very specific type of person. And again, that's why I'm like, I respect it. I won't respect everything you do, but like, I respect your career.
That's yeah, I respect the hustle. I respect the people who are making content, and there are people who are like making like content about their own lives and stuff, and like really like mining themselves. But there are also like these scammers that like, they don't just lie, they take other people's content and then become this kind of like culture vulture where like any small creators who get a little success, they take their ideas and then those creators no longer exist. They take their designs and then they sue creators when they bring them up. This isn't even just like influency stuff. Like, I will go as far to say like there are some comedy shows that are stealing jokes from Twitter.
I hate when that happens.
And a very specific comedian who steals tweets incessantly and isn't funny, but bills herself as a comedian.
Who are you talking about?
You know who I'm talking about?
I don't. Is it a hostess or is it a star? She steals tweets, of course.
It is so embarrassing. That is why like I don't follow fuck Jerry fat Jewish. Like, fuck those meme aggregator. That is literally what is. But the difference is that she bills herself as a comedian and makes money off of it and gets partnerships, has 2 podcasts, has a live tour. Like it's all based off of stolen jokes.
Ted Alexandro talking about how SNL stole his
I must have missed this, but I'm very interested in hearing it.
So they did a sketch on how when you're in your 30s, instead of porn, you look at Zillow or whatever. And it's like a direct rip from a joke that he has done. He's a Comedy Cellar comedian. A lot of the comedians who write for SNL also frequent the Cellar or work at the Cellar or whatever. And he called them the fuck out. And he was like, listen, I know when you have to make content like a lot, you do steal, but just credit. Like TikTok, at least like they're copying each other, but they credit each other. Will do TikToks and not credit them. And then not only not credit them, but put them on Instagram, which makes them look like she thought of the idea in the first place. And that's not fucking cool either.
I mean, I think it's so fascinating also, like watching people lie on Bravo shows in real time. And then the producers do a flashback that proves that they're lying.
The best.
And I'm like,
House
why
of
do they?
Potomac is the best example of that.
I know
Lisa Rinna doesn't remember saying that Kim Richards was an alcoholic and was about to die.
And that Kyle Richards is her enabler.
Yeah.
No, but it actually is something that is so fascinating to me because I'm like, why even lie? Like, you know, it's going to come out. Like, why lie? Like, it's just so weird to me. And I think that it's a combination of like, I don't know. They're all pathological liars on reality
with doing it. Yeah.
They're all pathological liars and they're all narcissists. And I think you kind of have to be a narcissist.
Yeah.
In some
And
not full on like behavioral disorder, but a little bit narcissistic to some extent.
It's the same thing with the posting with like stealing from smaller creators and thinking that she deserves to do that. That's fucking narcissism. To be like, oh yeah, I'm going to take this exact style from that girl on TikTok or whatever and not credit her. Did you guys see that
and
one?
Narcissism is, and I think about this when, oh my God, I don't even want to bring her up again, but they cannot take criticism because when you're a narcissist, like when you get criticized, it's a personal attack.
Well, it makes me think back, and it goes back to the influencer culture and stuff and talking about narcissists and the confidence and stuff. But when you said that she steals other people, I think everyone's just looking out for themselves in this industry. Right. And like they will take, you know, anyone. But I don't think it has
to be that way. That's why that's true. But it doesn't have to be that way. And I just think it's so weird as someone like with a moral compass. And that's not even me being like, oh my God, patting myself on the back. Like, no, I just have morals. I'm Midwestern. Like, I'm from the Midwest. My parents are.
I don't know where mine came from. I am not from the Midwest.
No, but like,
I don't know why I'm moral.
I always feel like I have to justify like calling myself like, I have a moral compass. Why does no one else? Like, I don't understand. Like, it doesn't have to be where you, like the fact that she's getting actual like criticism that she has stolen and hurt and
wait, which one?
All purposes.
I will also quickly say, not just to plug my book, but to plug my book. She scammed me a year or two ago, which is detailed in the book. And so it's not just stealing from other designers. It is a way of approaching business in general, I've discovered.
Yeah, it's a way of saying, oh, you have that? Well, it would look better coming from me, or it would look better being said. It would be funnier if it was said from my mouth. Or this tweet would be more successful if I'm the one who posted it. And it's like, bitch, you stole it verbatim.
I also, it's like, and like, Wylie, when you were saying that you like felt self-conscious that one time that you were like posing for photos, it's like, why can't influencers just, and I know that there's this whole movement where it's like, this is me without roles. This is me bending over and having roles. See, I get self-conscious too. Like, it's so not genuine, but it's like, just be your fucking self, give fucking credit where it's due. That's all you have to do. Like,
totally. And
it's like not hard to be a good person or to not be a terrible person, but time and time again, and fail miserably at being decent human beings. And it's just so wild to me.
The whole social experiment of fake famous and stuff, and I constantly say this in interviews, I'm trying to figure out how to make an analogy of it, but it felt like a pressure cooker, like with all the bots and the likes and the comments and the trolls and stuff. And so we came out of the pressure cooker, and I do feel like I can post whatever I want now that I quickly went through the steps of a social media influencer. But it is traumatizing, that social media. And I do think that once you kind of do get over that, it is a smooth sailing. It is smooth sailing. Like I posted a photo of a trash can last week.
Yeah. And I also want to add on to that. And I know I can't like fully relate, but I will say that in the past year, just from like when I like did that Twitter thread that went viral last year.
Bitch, you've blown up.
Yeah. So like I kind of blew up in the past year, like my writing and my following.
Yeah.
And I like have had plenty of panic attacks over it. And I only have like 15,000 followers on Twitter. It's not even like that much compared to, you know, how these reality stars, a Bachelor contestant will get 200,000 followers overnight. Like I had panic attacks, and like I like will see one comment, like you said, like when you see like a million positive comments, then that one negative comment will like ruin your day. Like it does take an effect on your mental health. Like it's not easy for sure. And even me, just from seeing it at this minimal degree, like I can only imagine it's shown me for sure that I never want to be like fully famous. Like I could never, and I would never
and it is
like
I agree with
also
the minimal
that fully
degree of
famous doesn't have to do with how much you're posting. The most famous people I know post maybe one story once a month when they get something, or it's to share a thing that their friend did. Like these are concrete accomplishments that don't have to do with a glossy hotel room and a set up photo shoot or whatever. Like I was feeling tremendous pressure when like I started posting about Ilaria and stuff, and then people started messaging me other gossip bloggy stuff, assuming that I'm a gossip blogger. And I'm like, no. I don't do that. I just thought it was bad that she was lying about being Hispanic. Then I started feeling the pressure of like, oh, I should be reporting stuff every day and I should have filled out screens or whatever. And it's like, no, like there was some social media influencer who I really do like. Her name is Jara Bean, and she teaches you like how to be good at social, but like not in a toxic way. And one of the things that she says is like, before you post something, like think about, is this useful like for other people? Like, does it teach anything? Is it going to make somebody feel better? Is it like something like at least didactic? Or is it like, or are you just posting because you want to see who watched your story? Or are you just posting because you want attention and you want that serotonin? Like if you're going to be an influencer, like, and I don't know if this is possible because can you get to that high without the audacity? I don't know.
I don't think so. I don't.
Like, yeah.
I don't know.
But if you do,
we're entering a new, like, sorry to interrupt. I'm just saying that we're entering a new phase of influencing. It's not going to be what it was in the past 5 years, how aspiration, you know, showing off the Chanel bags, even, you know, the ones that were the biggest, you know, offenders before of showing off their Chanel bags, like they even know that like no one wants to see that right now. That's just, it's aspirational stuff. It's just not going to be cool anymore. And you can like put me on record saying that. It's just going to be a whole different ballgame. So it's like people are going to be figuring it out. And, you know, who knows, maybe in the next 5 years, the most successful influencers will become the people that, you know, are speaking out, doing the right thing, you know, being authentic, having people gravitate towards their like, you know, just passion, whatever it is. Like it might be a whole different ballgame.
Yeah.
I think that COVID changed everything, honestly.
I do too. I literally was thinking about it the other day from the perspective of an influencer, because there still are ones who are jet setting and bragging and stuff. But if you are clued into like common sense, I was thinking like, oh, you know, like when is the right time to start bragging again? And it's like, never. It was never okay to brag. That's why we were brought up that way, because it's rude and it makes you a target. And ultimately, it's not even who you are, and it's making other people feel bad about themselves and then you about yourself, because even if you look back at that picture, you're like, yeah, that wasn't me. I fucking took hours to put that together and hours to Facetune it and hours to, you know, like it takes the fun out of
that was something
everything.
that Mark Weinstein said in the Fire documentary, and again in conversation with me later, and it's in the book, but that really struck me, which is when he was on the island setting this thing up, he was miserable, having the worst time of his life, but he would post these beautiful Bahamian water pictures and almost convinced himself that he was enjoying it, and certainly convinced his friends, so that looking back on it, it's this like incongruous, photo to emotion experience. And I really truly believe that if the Fire Festival people had been able to pull it off a little bit better, if there had been music or whatever, the people there would have pretended to have fun. Like they would have gone along with it for the gram.
And they would have gotten away with it.
Very true.
Yeah. There's a picture of me and Ben, Gabby. It's like one of the ones that did the best on my profile. And every time I look at it, all I can think of is I sent this to Gabby to edit for an hour and a half so that the lighting would be okay. I screamed at Ben while we were taking them because my arm looked too fat. I took another hour face tuning my arm or whatever. But people look at that picture. Oh, what a beautiful couple at a nice wedding.
Your boobs looked amazing.
Mentally ill.
Got the job done. Yeah.
I think that's such a perfect example of why needs to get off social media forever.
Yeah.
I think that she's in an extremely unhealthy relationship. Like her followers, it's unhealthy for her followers, the way that she makes herself look. And she's an example of someone that literally only posts to brag. Literally, that's all.
Or to get free stuff.
Yes, to get
free stuff. When she was posting about like moving during the pandemic, I was like, is she really trying to get a free couch right now?
Yeah, and it makes me mad also as a Jew, because it's like such a Jewish stereotype, and not to be like it has nothing to do with her being Jewish. It doesn't. She's just a bad person.
Elle even has this scot-free way of getting out of conflict too, that like she's like made the blueprint for when you're sad and when people are holding you accountable, you go offline for maybe like an hour and a half and then you post a makeupless selfie crying, talking about mental health and self-care, and then trigger warning, mean posts telling me to kill myself, but with none of the fucking like surrounding information that people are saying. How dare you talk about trying to fucking buy a 6,000 square foot apartment in New York right now when people are dying, like that's what they're saying.
It's like she steals from people of color and then turns off the comments on, now her TikTok comments are off because she got destroyed on TikTok. Her TikTok comments are off.
I want to read you guys something because I was literally reading the study this morning, but the headline is New Study Suggests People with Dark Personalities Weaponize Victimhood to Gain Advantage Over Others. And the opening to it is New research provides evidence that narcissism, psychopathy, and Machiavellianism, maladaptive personality traits known as the dark triad, are associated with overt displays of virtue and victimhood. The study suggests that people with dark personalities use these signals of virtuous victimhood to deceptively extract resources from others.
Yeah.
Dark personalities. That's crazy.
The first time I read about the dark triad, I immediately thought of weaponizing victimhood, and that's exactly what Dan does too. She plays the victim. She says she's being bullied. The last time it happened, she posted anti-Semitic hate where people were calling her like a dirty Jew, kill yourself, which of course is fucking disgusting, but that should not be lumped in with the genuine criticism. But again, that's like a personality disorder thing.
She's not seeing the genuine criticisms.
Yeah, sorry. I like have no filter, so you can
Neither do I.
Whatever you think could get you canceled. Like, I don't want to get you canceled. Like, do whatever you need.
Please, yeah.
Oh no, I'm not worried about getting canceled. I think that's the difference between the people that I've seen and their fan bases and how we've interacted with ours, like all of us, where when we get called out on shit, I've amended how I've said things.
Yeah, and a similar thing happened to me actually. A few weeks ago, I thought the preferred term was differently abled, and apparently disabled is preferred among the disabled community. And I use differently abled, and I guess that's offensive to some disabled people. And I immediately, as soon as I was like, oh my God, I'm so sorry. I don't know.
I don't have any fans correcting me.
I think it's because you probably do everything right.
No. I tried to look it up once, and I think I might be the least followed verified account on Instagram.
Yes,
I think so. I only have like 1,500 followers. It's like
Oh, you used to have so much less. You used to have 600 followers.
One of my old coworkers has like 600 followers, and she's verified because of like where she works now. So you're not.
She beat me.
But yeah, no, like I was saying, it's like all you have to do is correct yourself and apologize. It's like I just don't understand like what the big deal is. Like I don't
And
understand
shouldn't you want that?
Well, to me, apologizing feels good. Like I'm like, oh my
that's
God,
what I was gonna say.
you feel
Shouldn't
so
you
much
want
better. And there are people
a fan base who holds you accountable and makes
they don't
you
want
grow?
That. No,
but I'm saying I do.
They don't
like.
But it's funny. They want just the compliments, the heart eye emoji. Is that you look so hot? How are you so perfect? Oh my God, perfect hair, perfect boyfriend, perfect life. Like that's what they want. They want like people to worship them. They don't want to be held accountable. Like
yeah,
they want to be
heart
worshipped.
emojis.
Yeah, they
I
want
want heart emojis too.
We'll give you all the heart emojis.
I know.
Here's what I will say.
Wylie, you have to teach me how to get the Egyptians to start sending me the nice emojis.
Very easy. It's very easy, everyone.
Here's what I will say is even if you got all the heart emojis, even if I got all the heart emojis, it wouldn't mean that much to me if it wasn't about genuine me. You know, like if I had a bunch of followers that only stand, I would wonder, like, are my jokes even good? Is this post even good? Or these people, are they just addicted to me?
Well, I think that, you know, you should always be posting for yourself first. Like I post things that I think are funny or I think are interesting or that I want to talk about. Like I'm not thinking of anyone else, honestly. And I think that's what, you know, attracts people to my content. Like I just don't give a fuck. Yeah. And so I think that when I tweeted and I compiled a bunch of stuff from Reddit just because I was like, no one's talking about this. I'm going to put it all on a Twitter thread and like get it out there on Twitter because that's what I do sometimes. And people were calling me like a clout chaser on Reddit. Yeah. And I was like, you can call, and I tweeted this too. I was like, you can call me anything you want. And I think that people that steal jokes or, you know, the exact type of people that we're talking about are the definition of clout chasers. I'm like, I don't fucking want your clout. I don't need your clout. I post for myself. Like I am never posting for clout, but it's very obvious, you know, when someone steals a viral joke on Twitter, they clearly did it for clout. Or when someone does a stupid prank on TikTok for clout. Like, I just, people do that all the time. And I'm just like, why don't you just like act normal and be yourself? And you won't have to, like,
make Instagram casual again.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's what TikTok is, I think.
Nice. That's why TikTok's taken off. Some brilliant person said to me, she was like, that's why TikTok was so incredible because it had to be real because you were just in your house. So people were going to see your messy clothes and what you actually look like and unedited stuff. And that app has so much fucking serotonin in it. Like I don't leave TikTok wanting to kill myself. I leave Instagram and Twitter wanting to kill myself.
Twitter is like my favorite because it's all
Twitter's my favorite.
It's all people that are like miserable also. So
and their misery, they make it humorous. Yeah.
And I wrote about this in my column this past week too, but I think another reason why she was never going to land well on TikTok because her TikToks were just her bragging about her life. And that's not TikTok's vibe. TikTok is self-deprecating humor, like relatable humor, like
chin rolls.
Yeah. It's like girl boss feminism is over. No one's going to be like, yes, queen, you're my hero today. Right now, like no, and that's I think what she just totally misunderstands the platform. Clearly
she thought she was going to land on TikTok and it was going to be so fucking major, and then Gen Z just came and whomped her ass. She got so fucking ratioed in the comments, like it would be like 4,000 likes and 18,000 comments being like, we hey girly, can you show like the original creators? Like,
yeah, she got destroyed.
I want to share one insight that I had that seemed really mind-blowing to me and maybe is just obvious to everyone else. But there have been so many moments where I'm like, oh, Twitter, this hell site, like I hate Instagram. But everything I'm seeing on there, I have actively opted into seeing. All these people I've chosen to follow. Like we are curating these hellscapes that we're like
our own misery.
Yeah. And so honestly, like I switched a lot of my Instagram following. I follow a lot of like really bizarre meme accounts and like accounts that do TikTok roundups. And I am really enjoying my time on there. Like I stopped following influencers. I stopped following brands. And it's like a totally different experience. So I highly recommend it.
I did the same thing. I unfollowed all the thoughty hot boys and I was like, I can't look at this. And so I just look at like food, like Tiny Kitchen, where they just make tiny little food kitchen videos. And it's great. I love the Instagram
those.
again. I love the
I
time
love
with the little
stoner accounts,
Yeah,
anything
yeah.
where it's like, look at this thing.
Stoner
for, like,
accounts, Top Tree, yeah.
There's an account
Yeah.
of these men that just cook food outside on a fire. It is the most soothing thing I've ever seen. It's like two men in a pot or
Ooh.
something. Oh, I love it. I'll watch it for
I
an
know an
hour.
account that's a naked man cooking. It's just one man in a pot, and I'll send you
Ooh.
that one too.
Yes, please.
Mhm.
Unfollow the people that bother you. Like,
True.
I should unfollow. Why am I giving her money? Unfollow
Yeah.
the things that make you feel bad. If somebody just seems so fancy that makes you feel not fancy, mute them. Like,
Unfollow.
there's no
Yeah.
reason to do that to yourself.
Yeah, you got to
And I
condo
Don't
your
even mute them.
feed.
I say unfollow.
You could even unfollow, but if you know them personally or
Mhm.
something and you're gonna like get anxiety, whether they like hate you now, just
Or
mute.
have the app that tracks it.
There
Yeah,
was actually a TikTok I saw that was like, we've seen what can happen to hedge funds when like you rise up with GameStop. Like, look at what would happen if everyone unfollowed the Kardashians. They would have no more clout anymore. They would have no more
Yeah.
advertising opportunities. Like, if you want this to end, unfollow. And it's
Unfollow.
brilliant. It's so smart.
And
That's
turn
what-
on
yeah.
notifications for people that you do like if you don't want to like miss that stuff or whatever. Like, specifically for me, because we're shadow banned everywhere apparently. But like, you don't need to be on all the time. I have lessened my screen time so much after these two documentaries, and I highly recommend them. And then just placing value less in these apps. I know people have told you, Ben's been telling me for years, these apps mean nothing. They mean nothing. Butts get more likes than acclaimed actors. Like, stop. And it really is like, there's this quote from Rick and Morty where Rick is like, your boos don't mean anything to me. I've seen what makes you cheer. You know, like, if your morals don't align with the shit that everyone else is liking, then that's fine. They like shitty people. Doesn't mean you have to be one.
Yeah.
Yes. Well, Nick, director, said this in one of the interviews, and he was like, listen, like, we didn't expose anything new. Like, the social dilemma sort of exposed everything. But this shows that even though the social dilemma exposed everything, people have not changed, and they have not unfollowed the Kardashians. They have not done anything like this. So no one's ready to change yet.
Well, I think it's so funny that so many influencers posted about what was that one called? The social experience? The social
dilemma.
Social dilemma.
Oh, the social dilemma.
Social dilemma.
So good, so scary.
Yeah, so a lot of influencers posted about it, including like and then went back to like photoshopping their photos. It's like they don't give a fuck. Like,
well, she only posted that for optics though, and to say, look how sad I actually am. She's not saying, look how fake the stuff I do is. It's take this little section that I'm really going through stuff.
Yeah, she's like, here's what you don't see. I don't always show this side of me on Instagram. Like, shut up.
Get off then.
Shut up.
Yeah, get off.
Get off then.
No,
If you're so upset, go take a fucking mental health day. But yeah, anyway, this has been so fun.
This was so fun.
Oh, wait. We should do some little sex in it because we have two people on here who I don't even know how you came for the first time. And that's
I was
crazy
curious,
to me.
Is the question your first time masturbating, or like is penetration involved? What's the deal?
Your first cum.
I took it as, so I answered this in the questionnaire. And I took it as my first orgasm during sex, which was
interesting that you think that way.
I thought the same thing.
I never had an issue having an orgasm from anything else. So to me, it wasn't monumental, but the first time I had an orgasm from just a penis was like a big deal to me. And then that was junior year of college in a fraternity. It was called a cold dorm, where it's just a dark room with a bunch of bunk beds. And
oh my God.
Yeah, so it was in a bunk bed. And then it took me another like 6 years to be able to have another orgasm from just like another G-spot orgasm.
So you can do it from just penetration alone, diddling?
Well, now, yes. And it just depends on like the position, but I will recommend the position that's best for it, in my opinion, is being on top, and then guy just thrusts from the bottom and does all the work. So you're just kind of right there, but then he's just hitting everything like that. So that's how it first happened for me. So that's the wisdom that I'm going to bequeath. But just generally speaking, but I will say, generally speaking, spooning position with the wraparound. So you're getting, both of them. That to me is like, can't go wrong.
Love it. Wait, but what do you think? How old do you think your first cum was? Like baby age?
Like my first ever orgasm?
Mm-hmm.
Probably like when I like discovered masturbating. Like I never. I know that having an like obviously was an issue for you. I never had an issue with the clitoris.
Once you found her, you found her.
Yeah, exactly. Like we've been like this ever since.
I love that for you guys. Wylie, what about you?
I know. I was so curious. I was looking back at your old interviews and I was like, okay, I can't squirt. I knew that was a topic a couple of weeks ago, but
every penis owner I've ever been with squirts, and that is
true.
somebody else's joke.
That's true.
That is wrong.
And I will say, Sophie, I agree. I took the question very differently. So the first time I came was, I mean, nothing special. I feel like guys, it's much easier, but I remember I had just finished watching the first Sex and the City movie. And I don't know what that did for me, but somehow I discovered masturbating shortly after. I think I was 13. And then penetrationally, it was in the back of a 1999 Yukon XL, and nothing special, but my brother lost his virginity in the same trunk.
Wow.
I love that.
When we passed the car down.
Heirloom.
Yeah, an heirloom.
Yeah.
I know.
Oh my God, so hot and horny. How old were you then?
18.
18.
Mm-hmm.
Love it.
The gays, I feel like, are a little behind schedule sometimes when you're from like a small southern town.
No, you know what I think? I think that there's no schedule and that the straights have been told that we need to fuck in high school, and most people should probably do it for the first time in college anyway.
Mm-hmm. Good advice. Good advice.
I don't know. Not being like, abstain, but like get to know your body first.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
And also
Be like
you won't
these
have
two.
like good sex for years.
Yeah.
After like you lose your virginity, which I feel like is such a misconception where people act like you like enjoy sex right away. Like sex like isn't fun at first.
I also think part of sex is not just the act of penetration or touching. It's also like the theatrics that go behind it. Like, I mean, you can, pull off a good show without penetration,
Oh yeah.
100%.
Like heavy
We've all seen
breathing,
Meg
the
Ryan.
petting, the whole thing. Yeah.
Yeah.
Meg Ryan is the original scammer. Okay.
I'll have what she's having.
Yeah. We all grew up thinking salads make you come. And it's like, no, it's toys. Pop culture has always been very prevalent in our lives. And this is actually something I wanted to ask you guys before I let you go. What is there any like story that you were like, oh, wait, I'm not just interested in pop culture. Like I need to write about it for a living?
Well, they think I can answer since I don't write, and I don't write on it. But my first introduction when I got hooked on reality TV and pop culture was looking over my mom's shoulder on the desktop computer reading Perez Hilton in his prime.
Wow, I see that for you.
I will say, and I wrote about this in a project that I was working on where I was talking about when I first got into pop culture was Perez Hilton. I used to obsess over Perez Hilton.
Obsessively.
My mom always got like People magazine. Whenever we went to the airport, we got all the tabloids. Like I've just always been into like tabloid and celebrity culture. I don't think that's why I was silent. Like I don't think there was a moment where I was like, I'm not just like into pop culture. I'm obsessed. Like it's just how I've always been. Like I've always just been obsessed with pop culture, and I've always been obsessed with gossip. I got voted biggest gossip in high school superlatives. Like I've just always been into like gossiping, and gossiping is fun. I feel like it's like it's been vilified for a while, but I feel like it's like as long as it's not physically hurting anyone, I think that gossip.
If it was a job, I would do it like a professional yenta.
Yeah.
Have you read Sapiens?
Sorry.
Have you read Sapiens, the book?
Oh my God. Wait, it's on my nightstand right now because it got lost in the mail, but I finally got it and I haven't read it yet. But
oh my God. Well, you're going to get to a section about gossip.
Oh my God, I'm so
very
excited.
early.
That is so weird you say this. It's literally next on my list. I've just been like so busy with work lately, but I'm excited.
Unreal. Yeah, no. So Sapiens says that gossip is actually what separates us from the animals.
I
believe
that.
it.
That is fine with me.
I will piggyback off of that to say that I only became a journalist and a writer because of Gawker, which their tagline was, today's gossip is tomorrow's news. And they were actually like very ahead. They were the first on the Cosby story. They were the first on the Harvey Weinstein story back when those things were just whispers and gossip. But I only got that job because I read the site religiously, and they happened to advertise one day that they were looking for a weekend writer. And I wrote in and auditioned. I was in law school at the time. Like I was going to take a completely different career path, and they hired me and ruined my life in the best way possible. And here I am today.
Yeah, no, and I think that your story is so interesting too, because like you were gonna be a lawyer, and you did, like, one of your biggest things that you broke was incredibly legally based, because it got Billy McFarland re-indicted when he was like out on bail or whatever, like, and this is where I think gossip turns into journalism, because you guys aren't just covering these like pithy stories or whatever, that it's like, okay, well, here's a thing about a person, and then it means nothing for the rest of societies. The things that you guys talk about are like, why are scammers so prevalent and able to pull the wool over all of our eyes? Why is Hilaria Baldwin allowed to be Hispanic when she's not? Why is allowed to steal from a bunch of things? Like it's morally based gossip and not just like tear down.
Well, thank you for that. And I feel like that's to me, that's a huge part of it, because it just annoys me. I think what drives me to post and write about some of this stuff is that I see people buying into the lies and like the Army Hammer headlines. To me, that was an extreme example, because I'm like, like an 18-year-old is going to see this headline that he's, into BDSM and DM him and then get raped. Like, to me, it was just like so
Brandy
upsetting.
Glanville.
Like,
yes.
Did
you see that Brandy Glanville like tweeted about it?
Yeah,
that's what I'm saying. She DM'd him like, you can eat my rib if you want.
Exactly. And it's like, that's Brandy Glanville, and she obviously got like destroyed on Twitter when she tweeted that. But it's like, how many 18-year-old girls are sliding into his DMs, like offering up their flesh to this like Hollywood actor?
True. Yeah.
Headlines. Like, it just frustrates me when I see people buying into bullshit. I'm like,
me too.
I like to think critically. Like I say, like I think about things. I'm very skeptical. I'm very cynical, which, is sometimes a bad thing, but I'm like, just use your brain and like pay attention, and, don't just believe everything you read or hear or see. I think that's the moral of the story and why I do what I do. I like to get the truth out there.
Yeah. I like to, I have to remind myself too. And that's why I felt so compelled to do this episode, besides the fact that Wylie slid in like a fucking champ this morning. But also, like, I feel bad about myself sometimes because of how other people portray themselves, and it's a constant reminder that it might not be real. It most likely isn't.
Unfollow them.
Unfollow them.
So this whole episode has been about the perils of social media, but if you would like to find us on social media, you guys, where can they find you, Wylie?
My Instagram handle is Wiles, WYLEZZZ.
Masculine Wiles, nice. Sophie Ross, where can we find you and your writing?
My Instagram handle is Soph_Ross, and my Twitter handle is Soph Ross with 4 S's at the end. And I have a weekly column where I write about some of this stuff, and I post it on both Instagram and Twitter. So yeah, it comes out every Thursday.
Amazing. Gabrielle Bluestone, where can we find you?
For dank fish memes and Bravo commentary, you can follow me at G Bluestone on Instagram or G_Bluestone on Twitter. And maybe Clubhouse soon.
I was going to say, Gabrielle and I might be taking our talents of shit talking and venting to Clubhouse, and we would love you both to join us for the first one.
If you would like to come.
That would be amazing.
I'm scared of Clubhouse, and I still haven't joined, but maybe for the right occasion,
for the right reasons.
Wait, hold on. Ladies, I have to go to the bathroom. So nice meeting y'all. I'll talk to y'all later. Yeah, I'll see y'all.
Okay, wait. Oh, Wylie, I have to ask you a question then.
Yeah.
Did you finish?
Did I finish which time?
Perfect answer. Okay, thank you for coming.
Yes.
Wylie, it was such a pleasure meeting you.
So nice meeting you guys. I'll see y'all in the DMs. Yeah.
Bye.
Love him.
And I met him on the internet. So see, it's not all a bad place. It's just how you use it. You guys, fantastic recording. I do have to ask you one question that I have to ask everybody after a sexual experience, which it only was at the end, but it still counts. Gabrielle Bluestone, did you finish?
I don't leave till I'm finished, and I finished.
Good girl. Sophie Ross, did you finish?
Yes. So hard.
Amazing. Thank you guys for coming.
Thank you
Thanks for having us.
Of course. And go get Gabby's book, Hype. It's out for pre-order, and Sophie already pre-ordered it because she's a real one.
I am.
Guys, thanks, Remmers.
Of course. I love you guys. Thank you so much for doing this. And we will see you on next time on How Come. Goodbye.
Bye. Thank you.
It's not you, it's me. I try so hard to finish honestly. They say you'll know when you go all the way from A right down to O. Oh no, I think that I still got a ways to go. Oh, I'm sick of this and I have got to know. How come? How come? How come I can't achieve? How come I can't achieve? I'm rolling up my sleeves. I'm rolling up my sleeves. Oh baby, I believe these guests can help. 'Cause I can't do it by myself. I wanna just